Once upon a time, in a cozy little house on a quiet street, lived a girl named Meg Murry. Meg was not your ordinary girl. Oh no. She had big curly hair that bounced when she walked and glasses that slipped down her nose more often than not. She was brave, even if she didn't always feel it. One chilly night, as the wind whispered secrets through the trees, Meg sat in her room feeling rather grumpy. "I wish I could be anywhere but here," she huffed. Just then, her furry dog, Fortinbras, trotted in, wagging his tail like a fluffy tornado. "Hey, buddy," Meg sighed. "Do you think we'll ever have an adventure?" Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. It creaked open to reveal none other than her brother, Charles Wallace. He had a mischievous grin on his face that said he was up to something big. "Meg, you won't believe what I found!" he exclaimed, bouncing on his toes. "What is it?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. "A tesseract!" he shouted, puffing up his chest proudly. "A what?" Meg blinked, confused. "A wrinkle in time! It's like a shortcut through space," Charles explained with excitement bubbling in his voice. Before Meg could ask any more questions, their mom walked in. "What are you two plotting this time?" she chuckled. "We're going on an adventure," Charles declared. "All right, but first, don't forget to put on your jackets. It's chilly outside," their mom reminded them with a wink. With Fortinbras leading the way, they dashed out into the starry night. The air sparkled like glitter as they stepped into the garden. Suddenly, whoosh! A gust of wind swirled around them, lifting them off their feet and swirling them into the unknown. "Oh no! What's happening?" Meg shouted as she felt herself twisting and turning through a colorful tunnel filled with stars and planets. "Hold on tight!" Charles yelled, clutching Fortinbras's collar. In a flash of light and giggles, they landed softly on a strange planet called Camazotz. The grass was pink, and the sky was purple. They looked around in awe. "Wow! Look at that tree!" Meg pointed at a giant tree with candy-colored leaves that shimmered like jewels in the sunlight. But wait, something felt odd here. The houses were all perfectly identical, lined up in neat rows as if they were playing a game of follow the leader. And everyone seemed to be acting strangely, like robots. Why do they all look so, well, boring? Charles wondered aloud. Just then, a friendly creature popped out from behind a tree. It had 6 legs and 2 googly eyes that bounced around like marbles. "Hello there! I'm Mrs. Whatsit!" it squeaked cheerfully. Meg and Charles exchanged excited glances. "You're adorable!" Meg giggled. "Thank you, but we must hurry. This place is under the control of the dark thing. It's spreading shadows everywhere," Mrs. Whatsit warned with concern in her voice. "What can we do?" Charles asked bravely. "You must find your father. He's trapped somewhere within the dark shadows," Mrs. Whatsit instructed them seriously but kindly. With determination bubbling inside them like soda pop, they followed Mrs. Whatsit through the shimmering land of Camazotz. They climbed hills made of marshmallows and crossed rivers of sparkling lemonade. But suddenly, yikes! They faced an enormous shadowy creature. "Who dares enter my realm?" it growled menacingly. "Uh-oh," Meg gasped as she squeezed Charles's hand tightly. But Charles stood tall and said confidently, "We are here to save our father." The shadow loomed closer, but then paused when it saw their courage. "Very well," it hissed with intrigue. "Show me what you've got!" With hearts racing like rabbits on race day, they remembered something important. Love can shine even in the darkest places. So together they shouted, "We love our dad!" And just like that, poof! Light burst forth from their hearts, shining brighter than the sun. The shadow shrank back with an astonished gasp and disappeared into thin air. With joy bubbling in their chests, they ran to find their dad, who hugged them tightly as tears of happiness sparkled in his eyes. "You did it!" he exclaimed proudly. "I knew we could!" Meg grinned widely. As they started to head back home through the Tesseract once again, with Fortinbras wagging his tail like crazy, they looked back at Camazotz one last time. "Goodbye!" They waved cheerfully to Mrs. Whatsit and their new friends. And just like that, whoosh! They were back in their cozy little room again, as if nothing had happened at all. Meg looked at Charles and said with a sparkle in her eye, "Can you believe our adventure?" "I can believe it now," he laughed. adjusting his glasses with satisfaction. And from that day on, whenever the wind whispered through the trees or stars twinkled brightly in the night sky, Meg knew adventures awaited just beyond the horizon. And all she had to do was believe the end.